Hello, in this screencast we're going to go through the process of archiving or clipping EEG and saving it to a different format. My name is Michael Guest, VP of Research and Clinical Applications for Persyst. And we're going to use an intracranial recording that has some features to it that allows us to explore some considerations to make when archiving EEG. One of them is that this recording is sampled at a high sampling rate, so when we click the patient button here we can get information about the recording. And right here we see the sampling rate is 2 kilohertz, 2000 hertz, and we also see that it includes 1020 channels, and that will show up whether it's 1020, 1010 labels. Now the reason for the downsampling, so we see a resample rate of 285.714 hertz, and the reason that it does downsampling is for artifact reduction, to keep that from becoming overwhelmingly computationally intensive when you're doing that online on a live recording. And we want to do artifact reduction because that greatly improves the representation of the cerebral signal versus electrode artifact, physiological artifact in the trends, for seizure detection, for spike detection. So there's a lot of benefits for that. We talk about in other instances or other screencasts. And you can have mixed intracranial and scalp recordings. Now in this case it's not a mixed recording, and we're doing just offline exporting of the data and want to preserve that original sampling rate. So how do we do that? All right, if we go back to the EEG, let's see what's picking up these labels that look like they are 1020 or 1010 labels. I'm going to click the All button here, reduce the number of channels. And by the way, using those labels is not a problem. It's just that the software sees those and says, okay, well I'm seeing F1 through F8. This may be a mixed intracranial scalp recording, and so it prepares to do that. It just initializes the data reader in that way. So how do we handle it? Pretty easy to do. What we do is we click the Preferences, and we go to Trend Preferences, and we go to the Filter Values. And here we have the downsample, and this is used again for artifact reduction for scalp EEG. We can turn this off, because we're not going to be reprocessing this. We've already trended this recording. We're going to use that to help guide our archiving, in fact. So I've turned that off. All I do is close and reopen the record. I happen to have it up on the desktop, so I can just double click on the lay file. And now when I click the patient button, there's no resample. It's just showing the native rate of 2000 hertz. So that's easy to do. All you do is you go to Preferences, Trend Preferences, and you turn off that downsample. Now if you're going to be processing scalp recordings subsequently, go ahead and turn that back on. So we'll go to that Filter Values, and that is indeed turned off. So we're going to leave it off for now. Now we're going to talk about archiving the EEG. So to do that, well, we're going to mark a section by placing a comment with the duration on the recording, and then we're going to tell Persyst to clip that comment. I'm going to go ahead and close these. We don't need the signal quality or the numeric values, but I'm going to leave this comment list open because we're going to look at the comment that we place and the duration of it. Just to show that it's showing up the list, we can place multiple ones. We're just going to place one in this example. Now we can page through the EEG. I've already created intracranial montages. I've already trended this recording. So I'm going to pick my review montage. Again, this doesn't change how the EEG is archived. And I'm going to split the screen. I'm going to use the trends to help navigate to a place I want to clip. Again, optional. Go to the first page. We see a seizure here. And these are organized by hardware group, and we see that the onset and the earliest set of hardware is at around about this point, and then the onset's a bit later for other pieces of hardware. So let's say we want to capture the earliest one. We can use the trends to help navigate around in the EEG. We can go to a full page, and we can page forward and back and go, all right, where do I want to set the start of this? I'm going to click here. Let's say I want my archive to start there, and we want to place a comment with the duration. Now we can do that either being a free text comment, but we want to create a clip comment, so we're going to use this clip button here in a moment. Do select range, and we now have a caret that follows this, a range that follows this wherever we go in the recording. And I don't need to drag that. I can just page forward, and this, and I could go through the whole range of EEG. I can also use my trends to help find the place where I want to finish off. And let's say that I'm clicking on this. You see that range follows in both screens. It tells me the number of seconds. Let's say I want to clip to this point. That's the end of it, 258.1 seconds. So if I go back to the EEG, there's the end of that comment. And again, I can maneuver around a bit, decide where I want the end point of that to be. And to create a clip of this, I just select clip. I can add a comment to that. Let's say we do SZ1 for seizure. Click OK. And now it's placed a comment here with the duration of 243 seconds. And if I click on it, it takes me back to the beginning of that comment. So I've marked a comment with the duration. And the difference between comment and clip is when I selected clip for that range, I place that at clip at the front. The reason we use that simple is when you alphabetize a list, it goes to the top. Makes it easy to group them together. All right, so now let's click the recording tools, archive, and click advanced to open up the entire dialog. A bunch of choices here, some are selected by default. I don't want to pick any video in this case. I just want anything with at clip or whatever else I've placed after that comment. There's the asterisk. I can modify these as well, but I'm not going to do that in this case. So I've selected this, and I'm going to click archive. I've set up a folder, happens to be on my desktop, called archive, and here's the output file name. The default is the Persyst layout, which can be either 16 or 32-bit. 32-bit is the default, because a lot of OEM formats are 24-bit. But EDF is 16-bit, so how does it handle that? We're going to see this do two passes through that data. It'll do the first pass to measure the amplitudes of the waveforms, and then picks an optimal microvolt per bit scaling value for that EDF file to help downscale it to 16-bit in a friendly way. Click Save. There's the first pass. There's the second pass. You can save changes to that or not. And let's close Persyst. And we'll go to that folder. There's the archived file. Let's click Persyst 14. I always like to look at the file that I've just archived. You can do the open button, browse to it. This is an EDF file. I can just drag it onto the Persyst window. It'll ask me what flavor of EDF. EDF 90. It's actually EDF Plus. And let's go ahead and look at our recording. We see all the channel labels there on the left. And if we click the patient button, we can see that the duration of this is the clip duration in minutes and seconds. Sampling rate is 2000, and it's not resampled. In fact, it's unprocessed. It's just the raw EEG archived to EDF. That's the process. Any questions, feel free to contact me. My name is Michael Guess, VP of Research and Clinical Applications for Persyst. Thank you.